Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin is not the worst game we'll be covering today, but honestly it comes close to it. It was developed internally by Sega of America, which also developed the Sega Master System port of it, and was published by Flying Edge, a subsidiary of Acclaim. The plot is that the Kingpin accuses Spider-Man of a crime he didn't commit, as well planting bombs all over the city. Spider-Man has 24 hours to collect each key held by the Sinister Six, including him, to deactivate all the bombs. After each stage, you're allowed to regain your stamina, but of course if you do, it actually eats away at the time you have to deactivate the bomb. While this mechanic is pretty solid in theory, it makes no sense in the context of the game because you only have one life. If you die even once, it's game over, and the Kingpin has you in his clutches. It makes sense to have a way to gain back your health, but it's not an item in the game, it's only after the fact. The only time you can heal is after each stage, so you have to sacrifice time even with the best strategy in mind. But the game, especially this and its Master System counterpart, are infamous for its high difficulty. Even on the easiest difficulty, this game will beat the living shit out of you. Now we've dealt with really hard and downright evil Spider-Man games so far, but this just takes it to a whole new level. Honestly, no words can explain it, so, just look at this clip. Now the presentation is pretty good, even with its dialogue scenes, and the music is alright, but extremely repetitive and not enjoyable like the Gameboy games. But the gameplay is difficult to control at times, but it gets weird when you punch an enemy. They just bounce around and just keep coming until you repeat the process like 3 times. The cool thing is that the game is layered, so Spider-Man can go behind the environment and on the railing. And it's a pain because 9 out of 10 times it'll allow easy access for damage because Spider-Man's attack won't connect most of the time. The rules are also inconsistent, so in the first level you have to get the Daily Bugle, so you kinda have to whip the cops that come along the way. You can't kill them, but as you wall crawl up the Daily Bugle, the employees start to beat you down. But it's so weird because why are these people attacking you? They're just civilians! Oh god, it's Spider-Man 3 all over again. After that level, you go to a warehouse and you assume you just have to get to the end of the level and just fight the boss, right? But no, you have to beat down every single enemy. After that, you fight someone on a forklift which is made out to beat the boss. But after you beat it, you have to follow it in order to fight Doc Ock. Now, you don't get health items, so if you take a lot of damage fighting the forklift boss, you might die just fighting Doc Ock. But fortunately, they have certain exploits to take advantage of. Next, you go to the sewers to fight I guess he's Killer Croc now. This stage is pure chaos. The ceiling cracks can kill you. His weird non-reptile looking henchmen are irritating due to the layered level design, and if you walk around enough, the floor drops you down a hole and you have to get back up with there being nothing there at times. Alligators show up sometimes, and I don't know if it's a glitch or not because Venom showed up. And I say glitch because I was never able to replicate this encounter again. After attempting to defeat enemies, getting attacked by the breeze and the dirty bubble, you fight Killer Lizard, and instead of him dropping his key, you have to go to the end of the stage to grab his key. Because why not? Next you start the Electro stage, and this happens. And that's when I knew it was time to stop because, yeah, this game gets a 1.5 out of 5. Well, Bit Studios. Can I just skip this one? We all know it's gonna be bad. No? Well, alright then. So Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six is developed by those who should not be named, and once again published by Flying Edge. This game follows Spider-Man as the Sinister Six, led by Dr. Octopus,
that son of a bitch,
wreak havoc all over New York. This game is actually loosely based on an event in the actual comics, but it's kind of an in-name only kind of scenario. Anyway, how bad is this game? The game honestly hurts to play, as it has such a heavy delay on button inputs, meaning you're more likely to die or take a lot of damage than naturally making your way through a stage. While you can just hold the attack button to kinda attack, you can't walk and punch, so if you're fighting a boss, you have to actively think ahead, which makes the game even more tedious. If you're lucky enough, you can pull off this kick attack, but it only happens when the game wants to. On top of the gameplay issue, there's also a level of screen crunch, so if the gameplay doesn't give you much of an issue, the screen crunching will. At one point I was going to jump down into another part of the stage, but as I went down, something blew up and damaged me. When I did the stage again and dodged it, it was just some box suspended in animation. How can a random box that's just vibing attack you? Oh, and to add insult to injury, the screen moves up when you jump and goes down as you touch the ground, so add nausea to that list. What I also found, as I was doing the rounds, was this odd glitch. So in the Sandman stage, it's a simple puzzle where in the stage you grab TNT to blow up an obstacle blocking the boss entrance. When I died to do it again, the item was missing, so since I was on my last life, I had to restart the game. But to the game's credit, it does look really good. It certainly looks better than the NES port, and it looks as good as the Master System port. But they all play terribly because all ports were developed by those who should not be named, so while it's good looking shit, it's still shit. The music is kind of repetitive due to every track having the same kind of beat and tone, but it could honestly be worse. So after Electro being the closest I'll ever get to play StarCraft, you then enter the Sandman stage. With most of the issues present already being said, you catch up to him for a second boss fight, which is super easy due to him not moving as much as Electro, but he's looking a little yellow this time around, so either he's a Simpsons character or he's dealing with jaundice. After cheesing Sandman, you move on to... oh god, it's the fishbowl one!
No! No! Dreadful apparition, why must you trouble me?
I am Mysterio, and I'm going to destroy you.
This game gets a 1 out of 5. And if you're wondering why so low, and my response is that it predicted the future. The game came out in 1993, and the Virtual Boy came out in 1995. In the Mysterio level, there's a part of the game where the coloring is red and black, just like how the Virtual Boy games looked. So did Sega predict the worst Nintendo console that isn't the Wii U? Well,
but hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Hey, the Wii U wasn't that bad.
How did you get into my house again? You know what? Never mind. Since that you're here, you mind going over Arcade's Revenge for the Game Gear?
Well, I got nothing better to do. So for this video, I got a chance to play Spider-Man Arcade's Revenge for the Game Gear, and it sucks. First you start off as Spider-Man collecting bombs, and that's in order. You see if you can just grab them in any order that you want, that would be fine, but nah. Cause it's just impossible to code something on par with the coins from Super Mario Brothers. So after that annoyance, you come across the X-Men where you have the option to keep playing as Spider-Man, or play as Wolverine, Cyclops, Gambit, or Storm. And I'll be honest, I really didn't get far in this game. Mostly because of how garbage it is. So I'll just go over them real quickly. As Spider-Man, while you don't have to collect any more bombs, you still have to fight robots, and even having to try to get by in some unfair places. Cyclops has to get on a minecart and avoid obstacles while avoiding electric track. Storm is underwater, even though she has electric powers, and you can correct me in the comments if you want to. As the only ones I seem to almost have fun with were the Wolverine and Gambit stages. Well, they still suck, but at least I almost had fun. Wolverine is a traditional side-scrolling beat-em-up, or hack and slash since he has claws. Again, it's mostly the same thing, except he has projectiles. And even though I got a little farther in these levels than everyone else's, it's still ruined by bad controls and how the enemies are placed, and also you don't know what's safe to land on or what kills you instantly. Like that. Also, I think these stages go on forever. And by the way, you don't have a health kit, so if you die, you go all the way back to square one. I will say it looks nicer than the Game Boy game, but that's seriously all I can give it. So this is pretty much a colorful version of Aki Dave's Arcade Revenge Game Boy review. I give this one a 2 out of 5, 1 for Wolverine and 1 for Gambit. And just for an added bonus, let's talk about another X-Men game. If you grew up in the 90s and were a fan of X-Men, you probably remember their fighting game. No, not that one. Not that one either. That's literally the same thing. It's X-Men Mutant Academy! I loved this game growing up, Yeah, I received mediocre scores at the time, but me, my siblings, and cousins loved playing this game. It had the main X-Men characters, and they even had costumes from the X-Men movie. And the sequel was even better. It had more combos and super moves to try out, and it added more characters such as Spider-Man and Professor X. And yes, he fights in a wheelchair. And they say it can't be in Marvel vs. Capcom. But since this video is all about handheld games, we're not going to talk about the PS1 games. Instead, we're going to talk about the Game Boy Color version. Now the question is, did this need to be on Game Boy? Well, just like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, the answer is... no. This game is a complete button masher. Well, there are only 2 buttons, A to punch and B to kick, but the controls are terrible. So just like in any other fighter, I tried to do the normal combos, just as curl circle punch, down forward punch, curl circle back kick, but none of that works. The only characters I managed to do moves with were Cyclops, Storm, and Magneto, as you had to hold down A to use their specials. And as for their super specials, well, good luck pulling that off. But here's the thing, they're completely unnecessary, cause you can just stand there and hammer the A button, and you can win! This works for every character of the game. Every character! Well, except for Gambit, he sucks in his version. Hey, remember that X-Men comic or episode where he had a bow staff, but it was more used for decoration? Remember that? I'm pretty sure someone's gonna correct me on that in the comments. The only character that almost was trouble for me was Sabretooth, because he has a special that takes out like 75% of your health, but once again, you can just hammer the A button and breeze through the good side and bad side in less than an hour. Now, there is a training mode, but it sucks. Now, I think you can learn a few combos, at least show you some moves, but there is nothing. There's not even a command list when you pause the game. How do you fuck that up? The story mode's not better either. Here, play as the X-Men or Brotherhood of Mutants as you go through each character as you end up scoring off against Phoenix in the final battle. Yeah, remember how powerful she was? Well, you can just punch her and that's it. This woman can destroy planets and she can be defeated with a punch. God damn it, this game sucks! Oh yeah, and even Token easily beat her. That's like Bouncing Boy beating Brainiac. Oh, and if you expect an ending screen, well, there isn't one. The only point of playing this story mode is to show Professor X saying how you can lock Phoenix with a code, and that's it. Ugh, I don't know if there's anything good about this game. Holy shit, I can play as Apocalypse! You can even play in the PS1 games! Oh man, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have so much fun with it. And he plays just like everyone else. Strangely enough, he's the only character to have an ending screen. Also, this is the only game in the series to have Pyro in it. So to sum it up, this game sucks. The controls are awful, the gameplay's awful, and the music gets irritating real fast. I give this one a 1 out of 5. If you still have a PS1 or PS2 and manage to come across Mutant Academy 2 in some retro video game store, get it, it's fun. But if you only see the Game Boy Color version, just pretend it's not there. That also goes with Next Dimension.
A port of the PlayStation Classic, Spider-Man was published by Activision and developed by Vicarious Visions, which developed most of the Spider-Man handheld ports past this point, so how'd they handle the first Spider-Man game? Weirdly enough, when I started writing this, my laptop started acting up and actually crashed, so maybe I should just skip this game. But where's the fun in that, right? So the game looks great from the title screen and cutscenes, as well the models look pretty good. The music is also pretty good. While its console counterpart is a 3D action-adventure game, its portable counterpart goes for a semi-open world side-scroller. While there's an objective, you can explore a bit. The game's story is a bit different from its console counterpart, but it definitely follows some of the same beats. The game plays a combination of Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin, Spider-Man Return to the Sinister Six, and Spider-Man the movie game. So while traversing the city swinging around, you hit almost everything, even when normally traversing. You can walk past buildings, but if you jump, you'll 9 out of 10 times get attached to something, which can get annoying considering the environment is mainly buildings, which can lead to you taking unnecessary damage. Also, the way you shoot webs are kinda weird. Instead of using the attack button or even holding it, you need to use A and B, but in succession. which works in practice, but in combat it barely works, which is felt worse in the first boss fight with Venom. You have to whip him up in order to do some damage, but more than anything it'll jump, or it'll work at the wrong time. You then jump down and enter the subway for the lizard stage, and this is when the game gets problematic. So remember how I said that whenever you jump you'll stick onto something? Well, welcome to hell. The game gets way harder to control here due to the environment being so tight that you'll stick onto everything, in which the environment itself on top of everything else is here trying to kill you, meaning you'll just keep dying and getting killed by some albino alligator, random goons that can use their guns to clip the environment to attack you. Now your webs can permeate the environment, but you can only shoot forward and not even while jumping, so yeah. The level design is nonsensical because it just keeps going, leading on to mostly dead ends, and even if you stumble, and I mean stumble, across the right path, you'll get killed by something. Which means you'll have to start from the beginning of the sewer stage, so you better have the whole stage memorized, and if not you'll just get lost and then die again. The whole stage is like one of those maze puzzles you'll see in the kids menu, but that's more enjoyable than this beautiful piece of shit. The only compliment I'll give this game is that the fishbowl one isn't in it, and it doesn't prophesize the Wii U or something, but the game on top of everything else, and I know I keep saying that, but it's just a constant level of bullshit. The game suffers from lag and certain glitches where the game decides not even to let you play for a bit. The game also crashed my computer and gave me issues as I was recording it, so now it's not only wasting my time by playing it, it's also fucking up my computer, and overall the presentation is good most of the time, but the controls hold it back from being at least decent. So with that in mind, the game gets a 1.5 out of 5. Despite being developed by Taurus Games, a company that's mostly known for licensed games, this game is actually pretty good. The overall presentation is a bit better, as well as the sprite animations, especially during the boss battles, and speaking of those boss battles, those are actually pretty fun, and a bit challenging in a good way. My favorite being... oh my god, am I gonna say it? Yeah, Mysterio's boss battle is actually my favorite, and it's mainly due to the animations just being so awesome. The best part is that if you die during a boss battle, you get to return to that boss battle, and when you lose all your lives during a boss battle, you can actually return to fighting that boss. So overall, the game is actually pretty enjoyable. But I have one issue with the game, and that's the main levels. The first level has a good flow with a good boss at the end, but like any zone after Green Hill and Sonic the Hedgehog, they feel bloated and kinda slow. In every level, you have to unlock some area by finding keys or just going through the stage. Each stage is often linear, but if you were to get lost somehow, you can just stop for a second and voila, a little arrow appears to show you the way. But despite the issue, the bosses and the gameplay itself made the game extremely enjoyable. The cherry on top being the controls being way more comfortable and way more accurate than the first game, which includes the huge pain of shooting webs in combat. Considering the fact that stiff and irritating gameplay played the games I spoke about beforehand, this game was honestly a godsend. With that being said, this game gets a solid 4 out of 5. So graphically, this group of games was better. But gameplay wise, it just kept getting worse and worse. But at least this batch ended with one good game, and honestly I'll take that. But to be honest with you, I'm actually way more afraid of the Game Boy Advance games we'll be covering next time. But that is next time, so I'm safe for now. Thank you guys for watching, like, comment, subscribe to see more content, and I'll thank Leocrit and Phosphor Gaming for becoming patrons, and for $1 a month, your name can show up right here. Love you guys, and Shalom.